There's a phrase that's going around these days, Warren, that food is the oil of the 21st century. In Africa, when we talk about hunger and about the underappreciation of the agriculture and the potential for it in that continent, the richest continent in the world, give us not just a snapshot, but give us an understanding of what we're talking about and what the consequences are in the not too distant future.
Well, you're talking about a lack of infrastructure, a lack of budget commitment to build rural roads and rural electricity. You're talking about a system that is difficult to navigate because of corruption and a lower sense of governance that needs to be in place. But one of the things that is a really big challenge specific to agriculture is the lack of capacity for learning and teaching and bringing farmers up to a higher level of productivity. And I have to add also, you know, Africa is the most weathered continent in the world in terms of soil. So they got cheated to begin with, if you want to think about it that way, in terms of what their productivity capacity was from the beginning. And then they've employed a popular approach to be able to acquire more land, which is called slash and burn, which is where you cut and burn and does a lot of environmental destruction, destroys the soil to some degree. And so 75% of their soils are degraded. I mean, there's a long way to come back in this story. This is not easy. The consequences are mixed with all the things we are watching today in Libya and Egypt and Syria, which is, you know, disruption and a public that finally, you know, literally takes to the street because they're hungry, because they're dissatisfied and frustrated. When people are hungry, they do what they need to do.
Warren, I think that it's fair to say that there's a certain amount of Africa fatigue in this country. A lot of money has been spent on the continent. A lot of checks have been written. The NGOs have made an enormous investment over there. But if you ask the average person on the street with good reason, they're going to say, I don't see any difference between now and, say, 10 years ago. You have funneled your money to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where they have an enormous investment in Africa and doing a lot of good work, not just in this area, but in medicine and healthcare generally. Did you have any reservations about that investment going to Africa?
No. The basic principle that all of the 5 foundations that I contribute to follow is that all human lives have equal value. It's going to be a long haul on most projects. I mean, you know, we didn't get in these conditions in a day or a week or a month, and there has been progress made. There's been, if you look at the number of children that die each year under 5, I mean, that number has gone down dramatically. There's been lots of progress made on various diseases. Now there's this big attempt to really finally wipe out polio, for example. Well, we won't know the result on that for maybe 5 years or something. But these are big projects. And I encouraged, when I wrote the letter to my 3 children, and the letter's up on the website, berkshirehathaway.com, I told them, you know, if you don't fail at a number of things, I'll be disappointed. I mean, I do not want you to take the easy course of action and just do the small things, which are fine, but you've got the chance to swing for the fences and tackle the important problems. And if you tackle the tough ones, you're going to fail sometimes, but even a single success, you know, can change the lives of people from decades from now.
Howie, too, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. A lot of reflection on who he was, what he meant to this country. And inevitably, we come back to the Peace Corps, that he mobilized a whole generation of young people to go out in the world and spread the American dream, in effect. Do you think that the time is ripe to have a reactivation of something like that again, and that Africa ought to be a big target?
Well, I'll cut anyone in the audience off by saying I am no John F. Kennedy. but I will say there's no question that we need a renewed call to action. And, you know, I found that inspiration in my grandfather and my father and what we've done with 40 Chances. But what I go back to quite often is actually a quote of John F. Kennedy's, which is that all of our problems in the world are man-made, and therefore they can be solved by man. And I have never seen proof of that more clearly than in these 2 role models up on stage right here, and what they've been able to accomplish in a single lifetime. And for me, that is what gives me hope, and that's what I hope can give hope and determination to young folks all over the world to go and dedicate their time and energy, whether it's in Africa or Afghanistan or Asia, wherever it might be.